But I'm bearing the lead. Chris Gasper is joining us now from the Globe. He's brought to you by Premier Basement Waterproofing. Are you worrying every time it rains or snows that water may end up in your basement? Well, you're going to keep worrying until you call our guy, the guru, Mike Albert. So make the call this winter and never worry about water again. To schedule with Crystal, call 844-LIVE-DRY or visit premierbasement.net. And at that point, what will it be? Game over. I'm telling you, it's a very important service at this time. It's wet out there, raining, melty snow. I don't got to tell you. This is when it all shows up. So keep the guru, our guy Mike Albert, on speed dial. 844-LIVE-DRY. Gasper, how you doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good. What's your take on the Belichick situation here?
Yeah, I sort of debuted this viewpoint on this show a couple of weeks ago. I told you, he should take a beat, take a year off. You'd have, more leverage at that point because some team might be more desperate and a stink of 4-13 would be off him. And I think what's happened here is the NFL is saying to him what he said to so many players over the years, which is, yeah, you still got something left in the tank, but it's not as much as you think it is. You're not as good as you think you are. And if you want to keep doing it, you have to do it on my terms, not yours. I mean, he did that with a million players over the years, and now he's sort of getting a taste of his own medicine at 71 in coming off a 29-39 record the last 4 years without Brady, including the playoff loss to Buffalo. I think owners and teams are less willing to disrupt their entire organization to bring in Bill Belichick. And I think if this had been 5, 6, 7 years ago, it would have been completely different. I think people would have been falling all over themselves. Arthur Blank, as loyal as he is to Rich McKay and some of these other owners, as loyal as they are to some of their consiglieres, they would have thrown these people overboard to get Belichick. But now they look at it and they say, not that much runway left at the end of the day. And what are we really getting? We know we're getting a great X's and O's coach and someone who can really break down an opposing team. But is he going to relate to the young players on the team? Do we really want him to be involved in personnel? Is he going to wear on people in the organization? And at the end of the day, the bigger question, Robert Kraft and Jonathan Kraft put up with it for all those years because they were winning championships. But once the winning stopped, it only lasted 4 years, even for them, given everything they'd accomplished with Bill. Owners can only tolerate so much of you walking by them, ignoring them, acting like basically they work for you and not the other way around. So I think this is a little bit of a reality check for Bill. But as I said, I think if I'm him, I would make it public that I'm sitting out this year. I'd pull myself out before, I end up going 0 for 7 on this job cycle. And I think next offseason, when somebody's really desperate, like a Jerry Jones, he'll get back in.
So you believe it's more that owners shutting him out than him driving too hard of a bargain? Meaning,
I think it's both.
Yeah,
I think he's driving too hard of a bargain for somebody who has the record he has the last 4 years without Brady and is as old as he is. And I think this cycle, there just was not that owner desperate enough in terms of hey, I'm right there on the cusp of a Super Bowl. Terry Pagula or Jerry Jones willing to say, you know what, forget it. We'll just roll the dice on this because this guy potentially can get us over the top and it's worth it.
Okay. You also have a thought about how this might screw over the Patriots. How is that?
Yeah, I'm concerned about how there could be ripple effects here for the Patriots because I think that a lot of the Belichick sycophants and toadies and people he's close with were waiting for him to get a job, and then they were going to try and hook on there with him wherever he got hired. Well, now if that's not happening, some of those people who still work in the Patriots organization, your Matt Groves, are they going to work really hard to hang on to their jobs? Somebody like Josh McDaniels, who maybe would have gone to Atlanta with Bill Belichick if he gets that job, is he now going to work overtime to ingratiate himself once again to the Krafts? The Krafts love Josh. I mean, they pulled him off the plane when he was taking the Colts job. Are they going to sort of lean in with Gerard Mayo now and say, Josh McDaniels is available and we really like him. You should make him the offensive coordinator. I just think you could end up with a lot of these Belichick loyalists either still in the organization or returning to the organization. And then I look at it and I say, well, what really changed? How much change is there really if that's what you're going to do? So I think it would have been nice for the Patriots if he had gotten this job or another job. So a lot of those people would have an outlet and you wouldn't have to worry about them wanting to stay here or come here.
So you think these guys are going to be backed because of this?
I think some of these guys, yeah. Because you know why, Felger? Because I think that what they're going to do is appeal to Robert with this is a really special place. I've enjoyed being here. There's a special way of management here. And, I want to be a part of this with or without Bill. And that to me strokes his ego, and they could be here. I think Josh was going to go where Bill was going to go. And now that McDaniels, if Bill's not coaching, I could see him landing here.
Look, do you not think that?
I mean, of course it's possible, but it's outrageous.
Yeah, it is totally outrageous. But I think,
but of course it has the ring of truth. Of course, you kiss Robert's ass. I mean, he wants to kiss the ring.
Yeah, it at least increases the likelihood that they would stay.
And certainly no one else feels that way. This is so I've been mentioning this, Chris. It's the Pats don't have much to sell to some of these coaches, these offensive coordinators, for example. They don't have a roster. They don't have a quarterback. But at least you thought maybe that they would have the organization. It's a first-class organization. They're going to figure it out because they're the Patriots, and the Krafts are going to invest in the product, and they've got smart people there who invest in what's going on there. And because they're such a good organization that they'll figure it out, and I want to attach myself to that. They're not getting any of that sort of rub-off, any. So, that's been a take of mine. So, which, again, increases the likelihood of McDaniels giving Robert that spiel and him falling for it because that, plays on his heartstrings there.
And so what the plan is, they're going to just be the home for football wanderers? How does that help your football team going forward? Do you need to change this?
It doesn't, Murray.
It doesn't. So where do you think they are at offensive coordinator, Chris?
Well, I'll tell you this, and this is what's fascinating to me. I think it's pretty clear based on the people that Gerard Mayo has brought in that he wants to change the offensive system. And people from the Shanahan, McVay tree, even Gerard Johnson, who they brought in. And remember now, I think with Gerard, these are serious interviews, but remember now, when you're doing general manager, head coach, or the coordinator positions, you do have to bring in 2 outside minority candidates. But even Gerard Johnson, who was a quarterback coach in Houston, well, yeah, he doesn't have a background with McVay or Shanahan per se, but who was he working with this year? And he's working with Bobby Slowick, who was, the passing game coordinator, I believe, or one of the chief offensive assistants for the 49ers with Shanahan. So it seems pretty clear to me that Mayo would like to go to that system. It's en vogue in the NFL. It's given the Patriots some problems at times in the past. He would like to do that. And I think you see that. But again, do you end up with a situation where the Krafts come in and say, well, Josh is proven, he's a veteran guy. These other guys you're interviewing haven't called plays before. Zach Robinson, they obviously know Nick Caley, but they haven't called plays. Josh has been a head coach. He can help you in that regard. And we really like him. He got a lot out of Mac. He got a lot out of some of the personnel we have here. And what's the push-pull there? If they come in and say, we think Josh would be a good choice.
Yeah.
Does Mayo feel like he can say no? Like,
of course.
Oh, okay, course so that's my concern.
It's the whole reason Mayo got the job.
I'm telling you, Chris, that he helps the Krafts get their team back.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
right.
They can because he's inexperienced, they can manage him more easily.
To me, on this one, I feel they almost have to start with what they want and then go get the guy to implement it. In other words, if what they want is just, for example, one more crack at Mac Jones getting right, then it's Josh McDaniels or someone they're familiar with in the offense that has been run here for 30 years. Then it's Josh McDaniels. You're running the Ron Earhart offense, and Josh is the only guy that got any success out of Mac Jones, as fleeting as it was. If you are going to draft a quarterback and hitch your wagon to him, whether he's playing year one or not, then you're saying to yourself, what offense do we want him in? What's the trend of the league? And then you're clearly saying a McVay-Shanahan kind of offense with that kind of offensive coordinator from that tree. And then you're filling in the blank. So, Chris, I think they have to start with the vision and what they want. And then they go get the guy. And to me, it feels like it's kind of back. Or I don't know, Mayo may have that vision, again, based on the interviews. And the whole thing should have Patriots fans feeling uneasy. I don't know if they know what they want to do or what they can do. And that's where I think they are.
Yeah, no, it is a little scary. And then also the other part of this, too, is with Raheem Morris getting the job in Atlanta, and he has a relationship, obviously, with Zach Robinson. So now it's like there's even more competition for some of these guys that you want to bring in at this point. So they kind of had a head start here, right? To some level, because of not making the playoffs, making the decision on Belichick, then making a very quick decision on Mayo. They had like a head start here to lock some people up. But now it's like, okay, I'm not saying I don't blew that head start is too strong, I think, a term. But now it's like that head start, maybe you didn't capitalize on it, or you haven't capitalized on it. So now here are the Falcons, hiring a coach, week plus after you or whatever, and maybe they're going to poach somebody that you were really interested in. So you have to have some urgency here. It's kind of the old, John Wooden saw, be quick, but don't hurry. It's like you got to make sure you get the right people, but also like the evaluation interview phase for some of these really important jobs can't go on indefinitely. You have to capitalize on it and get your people before other people get involved. The situation with Cincinnati, where Brian Callahan got the Tennessee job and Dan Pitcher, who they'd interviewed, got promoted to OC. Stuff like that. Like, you have to capitalize and get the guys you want when you can get them before they have other opportunities that, to your point, Felger, when you look at the Patriots versus some other teams, just what those other teams have offensively, it's easier to look at and say, well, that's a better place for me to coach offense. Who would you rather coach, Joe Burrow or Mac Jones or a rookie quarterback?
Oh, it's not even close. See, I think that's a bigger problem, though. Like, again, let's say the Patriots were first. Don't you think they'd look at it? A candidate would look at it and go, you know what, I'm going to wait. No, thanks.
Yeah, no, the candidates are judging the Patriots purely on the merit of the situation and giving them no credibility or deference for their past success.
They don't deserve any.